I'm not great at terraforming complicated structures yet. With that being said though, that will be for another day. Hi, my name is Colin, spelled with 2 L's, and I also go by Mewbs online. I realize this video is long. In order to address that, you'll see that if you scrub over the YouTube player right now, I've added timestamps in the forms of chapters so that you know exactly what section of the video you're always on. Each of these chapters has a small summary about it, and in addition to that, I have also added graphics, which I'll throw on screen now, in the form of chapter title cards, just so that it's as easy as possible to navigate the video. I have given you the tools, please utilize them however you would like. With all of that being said though, I want to thank you for giving this video a chance. Again, I know that it is long, but I genuinely hope you enjoy it, and take care. Bye-bye. Hello, and welcome back to episode 5 of Musings. Last time wasn't actually that long ago, however, there has been a lot of progress made. So you can see over here, Savannah has been working on apparently a build from Studio Ghibli's, which one was it? Oh, this is so embarrassing. Spirited Away, I want to say. And then we have also over here had a new server member start an entirely new build for this section. So rest in peace, Eli's base. Gone and probably soon to be forgotten. So you can see over here that there's been a decent amount of terraforming happening, and oh my goodness, can this guy stop? Oh, it's like a little baby one. Every time, I swear, you just can't make it up. With that being said, however, I am not going to get as distracted as I did last time, though I do feel like I'm getting a little bit better at staying on task. Hi, yes, hi. Oh my gosh, that so derailed everything. I have Red Bull again. This is gonna now be my thing. Trying to stay on task. Level impossible. I will do that. Thank you. So we're actually going to start out not on this server. So this is a little awkward. This is my testing server. So you can see I've done a lot here. And if you are a regular viewer, you probably still wouldn't actually recognize a lot of this. However, if you've seen some old live streams, you would maybe recognize this house. This house was from a community college Minecraft server that I was a part of. I ended up getting griefed, and I had a video about it for a while. I think it's still unlisted in my Minecraft playlist on YouTube, but regardless, that's not important. This is my testing server, and I have been trying to work on what I want to do with the cave. So this is what I have sort of landed on, but I'm not satisfied with it as an end result yet, because there are 2 things that I want to work on. The first is the polished diorite here. I feel like it's a little bit messy, and to communicate the point, I think if I show it compared to like normal diorite, I have a lot of like really smooth textures here, quite eloquent, you could say. And then this is like very sandy and like very abrasive because it doesn't have a lot of smoothness throughout the block. It's not as bad, I feel, with the polished. However, especially with like either texture pack or connected textures, whatever setting I have on, it gives this sort of like dark border. And so for here, you can see it's like only on one side, or maybe 2 sides, I suppose, but it's not down here. So it's white, white, and then gray and gray. And so that ends up giving a sort of like tile-y feel that I don't quite want to be a part of the build. However, if you go through like all of the different white blocks, I don't want it to be wood or something, because again, this is for that cave section, and so I don't want something that doesn't feel super organic there. The only reason I'm using these slabs is to give a little bit of speciality to this section, since this is going to be approached from a diagonal, and then this is going to be like the front section walking up to it, and so I don't want it to be like symmetrical with it on the back or on like what would be considered the right side or left side. And so I needed something that was not the same here, so I didn't want to use like any of the diorite slab or any of the quartz slabs here because I'm already using quartz, and this is actually a full block here, and then I have stone slabs here, but I'm already using quartz and smooth quartz. So for this build, I decided that even if it's not perfectly natural to find like wood in a cave without a bunch of like mildew and stuff, I would just leave it, only because, especially trying to work with slabs, you are so limited in the amount of slabs you have if you want like a bunch of variety within a single color. So you can see here, for instance, like blue, you basically have warp slabs and then the different prismarine variations and copper. And that's it. And that's one of the ones that have more variation. So we have the 2 quartz slabs, the 2 diorite slabs, and then the wood. So it was like, okay, I guess I'll make an exception for the wood. The second thing is, obviously, it's going to be in a cave. And so there's not going to be this like complete box perimeter around it. So I'll need to actually mine a lot of the cave and do some terraforming there. But then I also want to add more detail. So we'll give ourselves some depth strider boots. And you can see here, it's still not the same as just like walking speed. It's like very noticeable when I put on the boots. With that being said, I'm getting ahead of myself though. What I'm doing here is trying to go off of an inspiration build. So go to the very infamous bookmarks folder, and you can see here, this is what I'm working with. So something I've really liked that Savannah on our server has been doing is having different pieces of pop culture builds within there. So she has like the Tangled Tower, she has the Studio Ghibli train. I decided to try and take a little bit of inspiration from that. So this is from Steven Universe, probably my favorite cartoon as opposed to like anime and stuff. Not getting into that debate right now. This is my favorite cartoon. And so I wanted to take something from that. And so I already, for that cave, talked about how I thought it would be cool to have a lot of dripstone and stuff like that. Essentially, you can see that it's actually water here. And so I'm trying to sort of emulate that vibe of walking around here, having that lower section where you can see that like my boots and my feet are in the water. So it's not completely half a block to where it would be all the way to like the waistline, but it's only like a little bit deep, trying to again emulate what was happening in the show. And so I did a couple of things because obviously with it being Minecraft, you're not going to be able to emulate it perfectly. It's really hard because you can see this is 3 different singular strands. It's really hard to emulate that in Minecraft because the only way you're going to get finite details is if you have it be really big, or if you change up your strategy to try and approach it a different way. And so the way I tried to differentiate the 3 different sections that are all sort of like almost like a yin and yang symbol, but instead of it being only 2, it being 3 and then meeting in the middle, is to have each section made up by a different white shade. And so that's why I had the slab debacle earlier, where I didn't want to like reuse any of these. Not to say that it'd be a big thing since this is the only one that has slabs anyway, but still just trying not to have like the exact replication. And so with the cave, I want it to be something to where, let's say this is like the actual entrance of like this area, it would be maybe like over here, that would be like the beach. And so I want it to have the Y elevation slowly go lower and lower and lower. So it would actually probably be here in my world. Again, if this is the beach, to where this is the Y elevation, and then it goes like back up with this pedestal here. That's the sort of idea I'm going for. This project ended up being a lot larger than I had anticipated it would be, which is a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. And in Minecraft, it's honestly better to go a little bit bigger. And so it's like, imagine trying to get the sort of like 3 swirls to look good on this. So essentially with Minecraft, the bigger you go, you can almost think of it like pixels on a screen. The more pixels you have, the more detailed an image you're able to recreate. So now if we go back to the other server, you can see that this is the start of the cave. There's so many trident noises, and I can do something about that. Can you hear that? Exactly. This is the cave So you can see, I think I ended up making it like 27 or 29 blocks long for the diameter of the circle, and I'm hoping that it's not gonna be too big of a deal to mine all of this out. I did get 2 different beacons, so the very first thing I'm gonna do is just mine out a decent amount, and I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna try using replay mod and doing a little mining montage. No. So with all that being said, let the time lapse commence. Let it commence. Okay, so I think this is looking good. Like I said, it's gonna be a sort of diag thing. So I need to decide what I want the center to be so that I can sort of have a place to act as like the guide for those floating sort of slabs that I had to draw your eye towards the middle. And then I might need to build a lot of it first in order to be able to have something to mine the top portion. Okay. That looks a little bit more symmetrical now. Looking at the roof, I don't love this again. However, that's something that can be worked on, of course. And so I think now I should probably get the base down, meaning I need to first go gather materials, all the different things that I use in the creative world to know how many blocks and whatever I'll need. I would like to probably get rid of some of these glowstone and then push it a little bit further. That is dangerous. That's really dangerous. I think I want to make it to where I mine out a little bit further in, but I think that for the back of that circle, it'd probably be around here. And so I want to get that first so that I know how much further I need to mine. So let's go get all the materials first, which I think I actually already have most of it. The main thing, I guess, is just quartz now. I guess we're going on a mining expedition. This is like not sus at all to get. This is probably not the most optimal piece of quartz to go for. I could aim for that hole. Is there a good place to land? I guess that works. I wanted to bring this up last time, but I got this new water bottle that was actually from when I had gone to Dave & Buster's, and it is so big. It's like almost the same volume as like my head. It's got a bunch of like cute messages. Remember your goal, 1 p.m., 3 p.m., feeling awesome. I did not realize that these messages were here when I got the water bottle. Hey, that was kind of rude. I don't really use it on the go or anything, but it has, I think, been helping me. Wow, has an air. Actually, it's preloaded. I didn't realize I had never fired any of the crossbows. I have 2 fully enchanted crossbows, but that was the first time I used one. Dang, only one. All right, so this is now another day. Don't worry about that though. What you need to be worried about is us getting down this base. So I have over here the screenshot. And so this is the top-down view, and after doing a little bit of trial and error, the way I think I'm gonna handle this is, since this is gonna be its own circle, I'm gonna build up 2 layers of like stone or just another filler block, and then I'll put this top layer, and then I'll build around that, and I'll put that layer, and then I'll do the last layer without anything below it. And so I think in order to get that down, I need to find out where the exact middle is going to be. Going back up around like here, I think. So that would be the center. Maybe like right there. So now let's count how many blocks I need. 8. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, because we already have this middle one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 5 wide. And then 2, 1, 2, 5, 2, 1, 2, 5, 2, 1, 2. Oh, I went the wrong way. 2. Okay, so we have a middle circle here. So am I happy with that? It's gonna be raised a little bit. From here, I purposely carved the sight line so that you could like get some sneak peek into it, so that side looks good. From here, it would be a bit of a left turn, but I think that's fine. So now we are going to fill this in. We're gonna do the pattern first. And this is literally just gonna be using the reference. We're a little close to the back wall. We're gonna have to mine out a lot more, actually. A lot of times when you're doing the terraforming, it's just as important to actually place back blocks instead of only taking away. This is satisfying. I love this. So the next section is gonna be the polished diorite, and it's basically just gonna be the same thing. I'm gonna place down stone, it'll go 1 layer, and then I'll get polished diorite. And I'm actually realizing that this is the slab layer, and then it goes down? Is that how that is? Oh, no, it surrounds it. Okay. Okay, so now we have this tier done, and then we need to do the half slabs. But I like how it looks. I think. A lot of stone and stuff, I guess, so it's not giving a completely accurate portrayal, but I think it'll be fine. That drowned is gonna be on me soon. I just know it. Look at him coming here all menacingly. Don't do it, man. I don't think you can take this fight. Oh, he looks kind of friendly. So it's literally just on the perimeter. So this is probably like the easiest layer. Another one. Dude, did you not hear what happened to your cousin? Did not end well for him, I'll tell you that much. I was 2 off. That's so unfortunate. Okay. Oh, no, I was a little bit more than 2 off. My bad. Well, I was 2 off. I just didn't realize how I was 2 off. There we go. So now we got this one done. I'll have to use the sweet elytra tech to get up. That was not the tech. There we go. It's just a hunch. This feels a little bit cramped. I might have to mine a little bit more. So let's do that. All right, I think it's looking a lot better now that the cave behind it is actually mined out. It was tedious like usual, but what do you expect? I mean, it's just stuff that has to get done, so you gotta do it. So now I have a lot better of a gauge about all the different layers and how I want it to look around. And apart from up here, I think that most of the extent that I've gone is probably where I'm gonna stop with the terraforming. I might make it a little bit bigger later depending on the dripstone, but I think that I'll have to finish everything else to really decide if I go with that. Okay, so we got the slab layer, so now we're gonna be on a 2 tall. 1, 2, 3, and then it'll go another 2, and then another 2. Okay, and then we just need to place our quartz pillars. And I think if I did things correctly, I should have an exact number of these. So let's hope that I do. I did not do things correctly. All right, well, it's coming together. I think for this last one, it should be pretty easy. I suppose I will fill this bottom layer because it's all gonna be covered with a slab on this layer anyway. And then I'll place the smooth quartz on this layer. All right, and now we just need, I think, a single layer covering this. All right, so we have the pedestal portion done. So now all that's left is to sort of mold the area around it into, well, for lack of a better way to put it, not this. This is only a little bit ugly, maybe a lot ugly, but that's fine because it's not permanent, as is anything in life. I think before I actually start putting down slabs, I should figure out the sort of extent of the perimeter I want and the cave walls now that we're here. And I think probably the best place to start will be from the front. I think there should be enough slabs. It's not going to be enough slabs. So now that we have these slabs down, I'm realizing I can actually go a bit more here. Also, why does it take longer to mine a slab than it does a whole block? That feels like, bam. Click. That feels a little weird, but whatever, it's Minecraft. Because obviously that's like an impenetrable excuse. I don't want a lot more well, maybe not a lot, but I want a little bit more space on this side. Probably keep like a similar width going all the way around. One thing that I've started to realize while doing the terraforming is you want those angles for the cave that aren't just like, straight, but are actually curved. And it's really helpful if like, imagine your sort of mining arc being that curve. So as you're like shaving, I want it to be from up here, curving this direction. And so I mine in like the direction of the curve I want. It gives me the sort of trajectory that I'm looking for while mining. So if you're doing any sort of like terraforming or something like that, could be helpful. Kind of stinks that for this placement, I can't butterfly click because it starts doing this double block placement on top of another one instead of flat like that. So I think for this, it's most efficient just to single click. It'll be a little bit interesting to get here. Oh, we got another falling victor. Wow, that's lore! I can never take this helmet off now. Never go in there. If we look at it here though, it's looking pretty good. I would say that there are probably 3 steps left, although 2 main new parts of the build. The first is just detailing the terraforming and essentially doing what I've done over here, where I have all the different slabs so that you know exactly what it's going to look like. So that's probably part 1. Part 2 will be getting big structures in because going back to the source image that I'm using, I want to have sort of big dripstone areas that are like maybe a sort of like rock that are coming out of this wall or something on top of just like the different dripstone around. And then the third part is just detailing. So we're almost there, which I know sounds weird to say, but to be honest, I think that mining was probably the biggest part of it. And like now that we've done like the majority of like the terraforming. It's very little left that we need to worry about. One thing I will say though that I'll really need to work on while I'm doing the detailing section is finding a good light source, because even though I do have a bunch of glowstone, another thing I want to keep in mind is the accents. I would much rather have a cool color palette for like a cave, and especially what you see in the show, rather than all these like warm glows that are being produced by the glowstone, as well as like the yellow hues. Either way though, I'm getting ahead of myself. I will continue terraforming and I will be back probably on another day. Okay, new day. I want to do a little bit of practice for what we're going to be doing with the dripstone. And instead of doing that portion off screen and then doing all the material gathering off screen, I figured that instead I should probably show some of it in the video. I think it would be beneficial to show this Minecraft tool though. So over here, you can decide how many blocks you want, but essentially it gives you a gradient. And so you can decide the first half, let's say we want to do like something like that, and then we can generate a gradient. This honestly isn't a great example. If you do something in like the gray tones though, there's usually a lot of options. That's an interesting one, the daylight detector. Say we want to go from gray, what is the color of dripstone? Like a sort of brown color? Ooh, raw iron, that's a good one. I feel like maybe a little bit darker of brown. Yeah, see this one has the dripstone we're looking for. So we could do dead bubble coral. Also, gotta get my Red Bull in. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is just get all of this out. There's gotta be like a good in-between block here. So something else you can do with this tool is look, instead of just for a gradient, pick ending color from a block. So you can choose here, like I want it to be up to dripstone, and from here I want it to be stone instead of trying to guess what color, and generate that. And see, it's really only giving us the dead fire coral. So instead, what if we make it to where dead coral isn't the first one, but like we go to packed mud? We got light gray concrete and light gray terracotta, as well as the top of mycelium. This has like the dirt size though, so we're not gonna use that. But terracotta, let's go check those out. So this one gives us that color we're looking for. And it does have this nice sort of transition. However, it's like very noticeably untextured. Although we might be able to do things to get around that. For instance, if we were to get glow lichen, this will give that extra like texture, although it's still not exactly what I'm looking for. However, if we do spread it around here, then A, that fixes our light source problem, or at least helps address the light source problem, since this does emit a little bit of light, but also it helps make it blend in together. So now from afar, it isn't as noticeable or drastic a change to where it's just super detailed texture, no detailed texture, super detailed texture. Is there anything else with this sort of like earthy tone? Can maybe do like something with like granite. However, with the granite, you can see that the saturation is a little bit too much. Like this is pretty desaturated. This is probably more saturated than the other two, but a lot less saturated than this. So I feel like it sort of disturbs the flow of the vibe. Maybe if like you use it to purposely be different, with like this being the ground level and it transitions. And then you could also use like the pointed dripstone to help sort of like blend it in. So I'll put the granite on the back burner. And mud in general just has like a lot of things. Like this would look really good as like a floor. And then you also get the mud bricks that have like walls. And so you can do a lot more than just like packed mud, for instance, only has this. There's no like variation. I It's still not a great transition from these colors though. So I think what might need to happen is instead of making it like a very fluid transition from gray to brown, it might just need to be brown is its own distinct sort of thing. And it's like a little rock cluster rather than being a part of like the natural interior of the cave. Looking at this, we could also like make it to where it like comes straight out of the ground and there are little like sections. We would actually be able to make that work by using both the granite as well as the mud to replace these slabs so that we don't have to like lose out on this. So maybe something kind of like this. I want it to be a little bit bigger actually. Could even maybe try to use copper. The thing is that it's giving a sort of artificial feel with these being bricks instead of it being like a natural block. You know, this brown also reminds me of the mushroom. Whatever this terracotta is, the light gray. It has a bit more texture as well. So we could get like a tiny sort of like rock cluster. I'm not liking the mud slabs or mud bricks personally. So I'm gonna get rid of those. I kind of do like that though because of the colors. I think the mushroom is closer in hue to the dripstone than the terracotta is. So I think I'm gonna forfeit the terracotta as well. Also, I think I'll save the coral for when it's actually like on the banks out here as opposed to when it's in the water. For the water, I'm kind of liking just like a couple clusters here and there without any of the stone transitions to it. I don't like that though. I'm just trying to like get this sort of shape from different angles. Because from straight on, it looks a little bit weird, like I should add something to the side here and maybe a little bit of a background here. I really like this for the variety in height so far. However, coming from back here, I feel like I'm not a fan of this smooth texture when it's like out in the open like this. So I think I'm gonna replace it and make it something where like it's sort of hidden. I don't want this to attract too much attention since it's like still a pretty smooth one, even if it's better than the terracotta. So I think I'm gonna use it over here where it's only like peeking out of the water and it also has dripstone on it so that there's not as much like pulling attention towards it. It looks a little bit weird when you think about it, but I do really like using this slab as well. I feel like it has elements that just work with the overall sort of vibe. I think the first step will be going into the survival world and filling this water throughout the perimeter with just little collections like this. And then I'll work on the parts that are actually like connected to dead coral. So we have our materials with us. We have the cave set and ready. So we should probably find the areas that we want. Like here, this is a great area. I don't want it to be too obvious like how it's being spread out. Like we'll do a teeny tiny one over here. Maybe like a bit of like a longer stretch of one. So let's start. And then I think with these being close, I'll actually make a lot of them like in between the slabs connect so that it feels like these are all tiny ones growing from like the same base. I might stretch it so that like all of here is like the same base, and so these are slabs filled up in the middle, and then there's like a stone break in between. I think that that would give a really nice sense of like variety. So right now I'm kind of just hitting it with like the random just like place blocks wherever treatment. I kind of like the idea of like a slab here, and I'll do one of these because we already have the smooth here and the normal granite here. Probably add like, put the raw iron and then a block. So I like that. I think it'd also be interesting to like make, you know, this one's kind of predominantly made of like granite and stuff. This one I'll make predominantly out of like mushroom. And so from up here, I feel like I don't see enough of the raw iron. So I'll make this one more raw iron focused in the front. And there's also not a lot of dripstone right now. So we'll make dripstone in the back. Probably just like granite, because I'm using a lot of smooth granite from this angle. And then dripstone to get like more dripstone as well. Or maybe it'd be better to do like raw iron there, and then dripstone, dripstone. And something I could also do is like make this entire cave not use stone. I think that'd make it like a lot more distinct from Minecraft, and it would also actually match up with like the source material better. That might be a little ambitious, so I'm gonna hold off from like declaring that yet, but that's something to keep in our back pocket. I absolutely would not mind that. So as I'm seeing this, it's gonna look a bit different with the water being placed, since that will drown out so much with it being opaque, but I'm kind of wanting to add more raw iron even. And now probably the most important part will be the dripstone. So probably make this one taller. It looks a bit too perfect. Like it almost needs to be a bit rougher. Like instead of having this slope, maybe mine that and then make it like one of the ones that are on the lowest. Have like the sort of M shape. I think that might be better. I want a bit more variety in the middle though. Yeah, I'm liking that. Looks good from that angle. There's a bit of emptiness there, but this is 2 already, and I want that to not be the same, and making it taller would be bad. So instead, let's do this one in the back. I'll keep that for now, because this is the first one that like I don't have something immediately scream out is like, oh, you need to change that. And I think it'll be more important to like work on over here to get like a more holistic picture instead of tunnel visioning only a single section. I think it might be because this is in front of here, and so like the sight line, it just gets very busy with like no break. So maybe I should slide this over a little bit. In terms of this, I kind of like it. Like it feels like imperfect, but in a good way. But now I feel like this is too perfect. And now that I have these ones, I'm starting to realize that this is like way too much. I feel like it's very bulky in comparison to this. I think it's good to have like a lot of visibility where you can like see through the cracks and see like behind it. And this is kind of just like a big block. So I think I'm gonna work on making a little bit of negative space here. We could like make that one bigger since it's in the back, so whenever you're viewing from the side or something, it's important to have that, but then from the front, it doesn't contribute to the positive. I kind of want to try making that even taller. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think after like 4 blocks, there's like diminishing returns with like the thickness that this is. It's like way more noticeable to like curve on like the last 3 parts of a dripstone. I also don't know if that's a very good texture on its own now. I could do a really messy one like that. I think for that messy texture that has the same hue, it needs to be like the raw iron. I think the mushroom is fine though if you like hide it. I feel like there's too many short ones now. I feel like I need one more tall one somewhere to help balance. I think that's fine for now. I still don't have the exact like mastery over this that I'd like, because even though I'm like looking and I'm like, I can tell it's better, or at least I think it's better, I can't tell exactly why. Now that I think about it, I've not been paying attention to these angles. Like, I think that looks good, especially as it like progresses and there's like things in the foreground compared to background. And so the perspective shift, that's a pretty cool one. But then it doesn't really work super well here on the left. I'm thinking maybe that back one needs to be, or I'm sorry, this front one needs to be like moved to the left so that it's not like covering up all of it. I like how this blends in with all of this. However, you can't like place it on top, and I don't love how you expect a bunch of like points and then it's just flat. So honestly, that could be like its own sort of cheap way to do dripstone. So if we do it like here and then here, where like that doesn't actually touch something to where it doesn't form this connection with the wall, You could do that. I don't know if I should use chain or iron bars to give like the finality of the point as much. I really don't know. Cause like, that's definitely a Minecraft technique that is good, especially if it's like the top of the point on a tree or something, but it might be going a little bit outside the scope of what I wanted for this cave. Like, I'm gonna need to do that a lot if I want to incorporate it. And then I'm kind of stuck on like only doing 3, or at least 3 tall. Oh no, not really actually. Because I could have just had like, you know, 1 to a 3rd one of the fence, and then the 4th be the iron bar. Or I could just start 1, 2, I don't need the base. I do like that it's thinner as well though, so it gives me like options for more negative space. I don't love the color though. Is there like anything else that's like, I mean, there's glass panes. That might be interesting to experiment with. It would really only be orange and brown. And then wall. Could also use the granite wall. I hadn't thought of that. And fence. Honestly, either color kind of works. But I think I like orange better because of the dark gradient going to light. Alright, that is way more than enough, I assume. I'm so conflicted. It's a bit bright in the cave, but it's also not helping that we have a bunch of light sources around, so it might be a bit different without this much. One other thing this reminds me though is maybe a candle would look good, but like a single brown candle. Maybe not multiple. So we could also do brown candles, and then we could light the ends of these as well. And for this one, it would definitely be the brown. It's still honestly not perfect. To me, it communicates like, well, I mean, there's an attempt to be clever. I don't know how much it will actually pay off though, because for me it feels obvious running through, but then for someone who isn't really paying attention, like even especially not Optifine zoomed, it's like it blends in pretty well. Either way, that's like the process of what I'm going for. If I have any new updates to this, then I'll let you know, but I think for now, I'll just time-lapse it and get back once I have this area done. Alright, welcome back, and I am quite pleased with how these are turning out. They're not exactly how I originally designed them, but I think they ended up better because of it. It does feel a little bit weird having the candles if you think too much about it, so we're just not gonna think that much about it, but I did get in the middle if you were paying attention, or if I included it in the montage, that I think I just want to do the same thing instead of having these like weird floating slabs. I think I want to make it to where it's just like that instead that you use, and it's almost going to be a sort of walkway. So actually, let me show you. So this will be like the walkable portion, so let's get blocks down here. And my process is still a pretty bit random. It's kind of just like controlled randomness where I don't just group like a bunch of the same block all together, but I sort of like spread it out, just eyeballing it and seeing how that feels. Like this, even a diagonal doesn't feel super natural. Sometimes you're gonna have blocks like next to each other though. It's also better to have, if you do have blocks next to each other, to make them connected textures rather than if you were to do, let's say, 2 of these, because then going back to what I said earlier, it gives that tile-y feel and it makes it more apparent that it is not a smooth transition. I also want to make it a bit more of a grand feeling, so I'm going to add a lot of verticality and like bulkiness to it, I think, to get that sentiment across. I'm gonna need a couple more jungle fences. Not too many though. This is a great song, by the way, Soul Fight by the Revivalists. This is a great song. I would recommend it. Not gonna keep all of it in because of copyright, but I would recommend it. I will try to remember to put it in the description. I think that having these slabs here still makes it definitely feel like this is the entrance, but then this feels good as like the walkway. This feels like everything is directing you towards here. And then we can also sort of connect it through this to where this, where it's above the water, is like a part of the edge, and then it connects underwater to give a sort of like feeling of like all of this near the front here is connected, both going in and out of water. I think that should help with the whole circular feel and it feeling like it's sort of supposed to be circular. Okay, I think this looks amazing. I really like how this middle one especially came out, and I'm glad that I only had the idea partway through so that I had the practice. I keep using my mouse. Maybe I should use just looking instead. I'm glad that I had the practice of going through all of these first before I got to here so that I had like a lot more of a game plan for how I wanted to tackle the middle one, because this is like arguably the most important one for the sake of the build. Actually, as I'm looking at this more, I think I like the idea of just getting rid of all of the stone in here and making all of the ring sort of orange, because I do really like this contrast. Even if it's not like a big one, like, you know, black versus white, I do like it a lot more than, you know, gray to white. I feel like adding the color really helps with it. And I think that this is actually a really good example of how oftentimes when you're trying to make a Minecraft build, in order to make it look better, it's way more important to focus on like the ambiance and the scene around the build than the build itself. So of course the build being the pedestal, all of this I think is contributing to making it look way better than, you know, if you take a look at it in my creative world, I think that this looks way better. Also, as I'm coming up here to go to bed, now is as good a time as ever just to update over here. Not all of it is done yet, but this empty room I have finally transformed and gotten some stuff down so that it can actually be, you know, functional and, you know, not look like I just moved in here. And then this is probably my favorite room, and I've still done a lot of changes as I've been slowly adapting it, but got a little desk area. And then we have a little hostel because I've just been so annoyed at everyone coming into my house because they don't know where else there are beds and just sleeping here like, oh yeah, we're just gonna use this bed, and then get out and then we castle around and I like reposition them because each cat has their own bed. So now we have a hostel to get rid of them. But alright, we are coming back up to the end here. Kind of just throwing these down randomly, seeing what sticks. And I think that's all of it. Sweet. I do have to decide if I'm gonna like keep this sort of thing where some of it comes up onto the shore, because if so, I should probably do this like around the rest of the perimeter. As it stands, everything else is just stone. Although I guess it doesn't really matter if it's only 3 blocks, but it would probably bug my OCD just knowing that that's there, but I feel like that's something I could probably get over. All right, this is good progress for today. This isn't gonna be a big section, it's gonna be very quick, but I need to actually get the resources for the beacons, which means that a lot of death needs to happen. Not for old server members though. Not for guys like Freddy's Fries. We need to kill wither skeletons, and a lot of them. Right now, if we go over and head to our statistics and we go all the way down to wither skeletons, 134, and that's given me 6 heads so far if I have counted correctly. Considering the fact that I killed 134 wither skeletons to get 6 heads, and I need 21, 3 heads for each beacon, and 7 beacons total, I can only imagine how big this number is gonna get, so let's hop into it. Hey, that's mine! Take that off right now! Ooh, that's another one. Is that another one? Well, hi there. I think that's the first diamond armor or anything I've ever seen naturally spawn, and it even has boots. So, how do I keep this guy alive? Your name will be Jonathan Height. Just... Height. I thought you were a player at first. Alright, cool. If you didn't know, I'm listening to Jonathan Haight's Righteous Mind right now, so that's why it was kind of an in-the-moment decision. Hey, confirmation bias. Oh my gosh. I just had some flashbacks to a very special meme. Hey! There's gotta be one from you guys. There's gotta be. Let's go! Yeah! Oh my gosh, I hit that. Ah! A 4! Sneak attack! Alright, and that's it. So now we have the question, how are we getting Jonathan Height home? And I think the answer to that is we leave it to Future Colin. Alright, so I think rather than returning home, we're actually gonna go this way over to this other nether portal here, which will take us somewhere very special. This is gonna take us to the end. And we're just gonna knock all these out. Alright, let's get wither number 1. If you haven't seen this before, it's basically just like a sort of oversight where you can take advantage of the way the wither spawns and use this in the end to get 3 hits on this guy. He has no idea what's happening to him, but we are just poking his little cozy wozies. Oh, your other phase? I can't use projectiles anymore? Oh, that's so sad, man. That is so sad. That is just how easy it is to deal with the wither in 2025. To be fair, this has been around for a lot longer than 2025. So yeah, let's just knock these out. I'm gonna be the wither killer. I have, I think, 20 ender dragons killed on this server, and I'm gonna have like 10 withers. Or maybe it's only 9, actually. I might need to go and get 2 more heads just to make it an even number. All right, and last one. Hey, dude, really? You see what I'm doing to these withers and you want to challenge me? I mean, he's got the teleportation skills, but we could really use that right now. There we go. Oh, I totally overestimated. There we go, 7 beacons. So let's take a look at our stats. For one, I want to see the wither, but I think the wither skeleton is the bigger one. So I think we were at 176, and now... Oh, I've killed 9 withers, okay. And 427 wither skeletons. So honestly, not that bad. If you set up like an actual wither grinder, you're probably gonna get like in the thousands. If you want, I don't know how many beacons you're realistically gonna need, but yeah, we did almost 300, which is not bad. Don't look at this one, by the way. Or that death. That's fake news. All right, well, we got these. So now I think, unfortunately, it's time that I actually build the redstone. Well, I would love to go to bed, but seeing as this eye blossom is still not actually blooming, that means it's not nighttime yet. So we are just gonna have to bear with the rain and continue on anyway. So I have been making some preparations. I have gotten all the things I need for the redstone. I have gotten the redstone actually done. So let's see what I have done. First things first, however. So this is a little side cave, and down here, I have prepared a little bit of an area, and believe me, I actually need all of this space because I haven't actually really talked about what I wanted the redstone to be. So going back to the essence about the armory, and I wanted it to have some function. I didn't have a very clear idea of what I wanted. I just knew that I wanted it to do something. And so I have prepared, well, this is just my normal redstone box. I prepared a lot of building materials for everything that I need. So in these 2 shulkers, you can see that I have stuff ready. For you guys, it's been maybe, what, 50 minutes or something like that? And for me, maybe a couple weeks, like 3.5 weeks at this point. So the way I want to do this section is essentially walk you through what I've done in the survival testing world, but instead of actually showcasing it there, I'm just gonna explain things as I build to sort of get 2 birds, 1 stone, since I wanted to show the process of building it. So unfortunately, this white shulker is no longer going to be used. We don't need that. I'll pick it up later though. And so that's the middle, which means it would be here first. So it would be 1, 2, 3, boom. And so I'm gonna get this. We're actually gonna keep the glass because the glass is gonna go 1 layer below and the shulker will go there. And next is yellow, red, purple, dark blue. So now let's get all of our glass out, and I would love to be able to reach up here. If only some people had voted for the claw, aka the crab, instead of wolf armor. Oh yeah, we got the armadillos. And as I'm doing this, you can see that I have finally gotten a different light source, and I realized that this is, even though this is supposed to be like cool accented, I think all the light sources in Minecraft still come off as warm, which is a bit unfortunate. I don't know if there's anything else that won't do that, but for now, I think we're gonna have to deal with the warm accents. Wada bing, wada boom. Okay. I guess I could have actually done this as well. We also have beacons. And so if we come over here, and if we go to monitor 2, you can see that I have OBS up here. I have it a little bit weird where it's super close here since I have my water bottle right here. But in essence, I have a second version of Minecraft loaded in a really weird screen size on my second monitor. And so this is what we're gonna be building. I know it looks complicated, but I'm gonna walk through it and try to make it as apparent in what's happening. And so each of these different colors, by the way, I'm sorry that this is a weird layout, but all of these different colors essentially equate to like a single different action or instance of something happening. the exception of yellow, 2 different things are happening with the yellow, but I'll get there when we get there. So for now, I think it'll be easiest if we start with this green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm just making absolutely certain with the measurements that everything is the correct place, because if I get it even like 1 Y level block off, it's gonna be a massive headache to redo everything. Measure once, cut twice. All right, so I have set up this purple strand, and you might be wondering what all of this power is even for. We have this armor stand, and so you might have been able to guess. Essentially what's gonna happen is this slime block, if you don't know, slime blocks make things bounce, and so when it gets propelled upwards, the armor stand, being an entity, is going to also get propelled upwards. And so I'm gonna make a trap door where this pillar block will essentially move down, move out of the way, and then from below you'll have the armor stand pop up, and then it'll come back with a door out and then above to where the armor stand lands on those blocks. And then to close it, basically it'll be the opposite. It'll come down, including the armor stand, it'll slide the blocks out of the way, the armor stand will drop below, and then the blocks will slide back in and then raise up. And so that's what this mechanism is. So currently, the way this is activated is with a calibrated sculk sensor. So I'm actually not gonna put the armor stand here yet, because if it's always activating, it's gonna have a misfire for the timing, and the armor stand will end up on the crystal instead. There will be a second part of this that activates it a different way, but I'll get into that once we're actually doing that mechanism. The first thing you should know is that the calibrated sculk sensor works by sending a redstone input by sound. So there are different ways of activating redstone, of course. You could do either a button, you could do a lever, a pressure plate. And so this is like even just putting a redstone source. You can see that this gives you like a permanent signal. So this is never turning off. The way I'm doing it is with a calibrated sculk sensor that has a very specific number attached to it. And so redstone power levels can be 1 to 15 depending on how strong the source is. And so without going into too much detail, a lectern can basically detect the exact strength level you want. So this is level 1, and you can see here, this has strength level 1. If we were to go to 5, this is strength level 5. And if we were to go all the way to 15, this has 15. And so if you don't have any input going into the sculk sensor, then it'll just, no matter what it hears, the sculk sensor will always produce a sound. And so you can see here, because all of this redstone with the pistons is making sound, it's actually an infinite generator, so you just get that infinite loop over and over again of it activates itself, activating makes a sound, the sound activates itself, activating it makes a sound, etc, etc, etc. If you were to go to a different level, depending on the level, it'll hear something different. And so I want it to first be on a level 1, because when it's on level 1, the way it activates is only if it hears movement. And so if I'm just walking around, that's when it'll get the signal and it'll say, hey, someone's moving, I can hear that, send a signal. However, you can imagine that it wouldn't be very good to always have it. And so I'm gonna have a mechanism in place to where only the first time you're activating it does it detect the movement. So I'll move once, it'll hear that, and then it'll get a different signal so that once I move, it's not gonna hear that anymore. So I think a good next step is to make the mechanism that turns it off, because once we have the turning it off mechanism, unless someone presses that button, it's not gonna randomly fire, so that I don't have to worry about that during the rest of the redstone build. So now we made it, remember my walking is what triggers it. We take this single pulse it gives us, and we can convert it into a binary state. So now, walking can give us a true or a false. So I walk, it's on, and then I walk, and it's off. And so now, the way I cleverly set this up is if we put down our exact number of blocks, by the way, I didn't do that on purpose, but we had like a perfect number for this. And now you can see that it's working as intended. I set this up with the perfect amount of blocks to where whenever it's in the on state, or whichever one, it doesn't really matter whether or not we call it on or off, it's just This is the binary state where we prefer it to be, so let's just call this 1 true. This will now power this line, and if you remember, depending on how much input this calibrated skulk sensor is receiving, it will detect for different sounds. And so when there's nothing and it's just 1, it'll detect for walking. But now, once this is activated, it'll detect for 11. And so you might be wondering what 11 detects for, because it's not walking. What 11 detects for is whether or not something is being used, either like an item that has some type of function, something like that. And so the one I decided to do so that there wouldn't be like a bunch of overlapping stuff, like I didn't want it to be something where me using a shulker box would do it, is if I use a pot, you can see here, this hole opened and closed. And so now I can walk once, it'll trigger the hole. And now I can just walk however much I want, and it will not open or close until I activate it by pressing one of these. The next thing that we can do is going to also depend on this actually. I'm gonna use essentially receiving signal from here to act as like the on switch for as much as I can get my money's worth out of it. And so with the beacons, what I essentially want to happen is I want all of the beacons to light up once someone walks in there. So I don't want the beacons to be on 24/7. I want it to be like no one's in there, it's just empty, all the lights are on, but then someone approaches it and it automatically comes to life. You have the armor stand pop up, or like the armory, and then you have all of the different beacons light up to basically give you the feel of like someone comes on, everything's on. Let me just move this over here. I know this is not a great POV, but just bear with me. I kind of was trying to not spoil it, even though you're gonna see it in like a handful of minutes anyway. What I want to have happen is A, for the armor stand to pop up, B, for all the beacons to turn on, and then C, which has like C1 and C2. C1 will be, it plays a little jingle, because I like note blocks and trying to incorporate that in a build, so it's going to play a little jingle, and simultaneously with the jingle, it's going to activate the different colors. So you have all the beacons turn on, that's just white, and then as the jingle plays, you're also going to have colors come on, so it's like going through the 7 colors of the rainbow. I figure I should just explain this now. I'm going to be using blocks of amethyst for the note blocks, because right here, if you press a note block, you can hear like that really low thud. But if I place it on amethyst, you can hear it's like super lighter and actually a different instrument. And so depending on what you have on it, like if there's just air, I think glass also works for this sound. It'll give you either different instruments or a different pitch. I don't know what's happening. Redstone really is just magic. It's me walking. I think it is just server lag. I can't lie, because it looked like there was the timing with the lights synced. Is it just server lag? I can't tell. Now I'm tripping myself. I'll do a little bit of testing on a single player server where I have Neo actually send me this world file so that I can test if it's like, if that's the only variable, aka if I have this exact setup of Redstone in a single player setting to where the only difference is single or multiplayer, and it works in single player, then I'll know that all of these errors are just from multiplayer. And if that is the case, I will put that here. If not, I'll do a little bit more testing, but either way, I'm gonna move on, because I think this is about as perfect as I can get it right now, unless I'm just horrendously wrong in some way. But with that, I'll let it play. And I will move on to what I hope is the last section. It's another new day. I have a new Red Bull, though I'm not gonna open it yet. I have been holding off, still talking about it, but purposely holding off. I can do something about the light source situation. Even if this doesn't let us have a bit cooler of colors, which kind of with like the white light, you can see here that you still have like this yellow hue. I think that that's fine. What I don't want is all of these like yellow blocks so that when you're far away looking at it, you can clearly see the yellow. So I think first things first, we're gonna take down all of these lights so that I can actually get a pretty good idea of how much of the cave is actually being lit by the glowstone, especially as you get into like these further back corners, and how much of it is actually being lit by all of this. Because you can see if you pay attention to this ring around here as I close it, even with all of the beacons off, it's still pretty well lit, which means that I don't need to worry about any of these turning off and then mobs being able to spawn in here, or turning on and only for like a short while someone's in here does it have light before they just turn off and then mobs can spawn again. And then once we actually finish getting all of these lights down and putting up new lights, I feel like then I can finally start texturing everything so that I'll have like a better idea of what I want the end goal to be. Because as I've been working on this project, I've kind of not been liking the idea that I originally had where I was gonna have like pointed dripstone heading down, but I think that that could also just be because I have a bunch of like floating glowstone everywhere that's like really filling the area. So I think only then would I be able to really tell, oh yeah, I definitely want to add a little bit more positive area to fill up like the upper areas, or if I'm gonna have like whatever the light source situation is, which I have some ideas for, if that's gonna be enough, I'll be able to basically tell what the balance is like. And already, as I'm going through, you can see how much darker it got, which honestly, it kind of does give a cool vibe. I think the fact that mobs are still gonna spawn makes me not want to keep it anyway, but I'm not against it. Ooh, we missed this big boy over here. I don't think I ever want to refer to a block as big boy ever again. I regret doing that. Another thing with the pointed dripstone that I'm now realizing as like the darkness and the contrast makes these pop up way more clearly is I don't want too much to be distracting from like the beams themselves, because obviously the beams have like a lot of verticality, and so that introduces a lot of space even just in this section in the middle here. So if I did add anything, I might add things like in the cracks back here, but then that would be hard with like the different angles you look at. Although I guess from the front, it's not so bad. But if I did add anything, it would probably be like on the sides mostly. That's so cool, just seeing like everyone's builds in a little area. Oh my gosh. Is this progress? Has progress been made? Oh, that's amazing. You'd love to see it. Okay. Hey. Chill. This is exactly what I was worried about. If I can't crack open a cold Red Bull in the morning, how am I supposed to get to building? I do love like the reflection you get with the water if you have shaders on. It's so cool. You know, looking at it, I was thinking I would have to put glass in those little gaps, but I think it's fine without. I do have glass like all the way up there so that people can't just like randomly fall to their death, but I don't know, I guess like no glass here means I'm allowed to like do that. So I went and retrieved this so that we had our sea lanterns and glowstone. Well, that's convenient to know. Really? Haste 2 doesn't make this an insta-mine? How? I have gotten a bunch of ocean materials so that we have all of this that we used in the testing server, and then I'll go from this to this texture. So I'll also need like an in-between block, and tough kind of helps with that. Not perfect, but I think that'll definitely be one of our big players. By the way, when I say tough is gonna be a big player, what I mean is like for the cave walls. So like it's gonna have more verticality, and I want it to be similar to what I did like for the mountain up there. And so I'll need to work on like the transition, going from like this being the floor to this being the wall. And so I think this is gonna be a big player in the transition of going up to the wall, as well as like maybe with a glow lichen or something. I love playing in F5. F5 is so fun. I remember when I was first starting to like really get into Minecraft and I was playing with friends, I had one tell me that he thought F5 wasn't advantageous at all, which in this context, it definitely isn't, but I just remember how I felt it definitely was, especially if you have something like a wall, let's say. And most Minecraft players will get it, but like if someone's standing like right there, this is like the soonest I could see, and you can see like in F5, I'm very, you know, clearly visible here. But if you go in F5, you can see, well, our person kind of dried up, but you can see the person. And so I think that that alone warrants learning F5. Like F5 is one of the biggest things I miss whenever I'm actually playing like a different game that doesn't offer a third person. And so I'm just like so pleased with how like good I've gotten at being able to play in F5, because it's like, this took years of practice. I remember a while ago in my philosophy club when I was going to YC that I was talking about how I had a moment with my dad that my dad thought was kind of like sad, but I was sharing with them how like I was in a Goodwill and I had a moment where like I was walking past some shelves and I had something on my right and I really wanted to see it, but I had walked past it. And so instead of like in real life turning to look to the right, I try to like toggle F5 like in my mind to get a better view before realizing, oh my gosh, I might play too much Minecraft. And so my friends like in philosophy club, they're like a bit older than me and they don't play any video games or anything, but they thought it was like so adorable, which I don't know how to feel about that, but it's just, F5 is like, it's my jam, you know? I can look you in the eye in game and in person at the same time. But yeah, I don't know like how often I'll really need like F5 or like something like that, but it's just, if nothing else, it's like fun to have something. And I have this philosophy with like basically everything in Minecraft, which is why I like try so hard to be good at Minecraft. It's just fun to make progress, and it's fun to continuously make improvements and, you know, single in on things that you know you can improve on and to actually put the time improving on it. It's just like, that's like my bread and butter, man. We have sea lanterns. I think I'm gonna start carrying my loyalty trident on me. Where are you, big boy? I gotta stop saying big boy. I hate myself for it. All right, big boy, come here. I mean, it's starting to come together, but it feels a little bit too spotty for my liking. And I think that that's something that I can deal with by essentially giving it a gradient like this, so that it's not just surrounded by a bunch of gray, but will be surrounded by a bunch of orange colors instead. And I think that I'm fine with that, because I feel like it will reflect the actual reference that I had a little bit more. However, I don't want it to just be like all the same thing, if that makes sense. In other news, I've been trying to get more into stickers lately, which I know feels like a completely non sequitur, but this is what has been on my mind, and this is a Musings episode, so I do want to talk a little bit about things that is not just prevalent to the build. So I've never been a real sticker person. I feel like I just usually don't like the commitment of having something semi-permanently, although I have definitely used them like as a kid. But I think that I want to get over that, because I do like the idea of having something that I'm passionate about in a sort of place that I'm constantly experiencing, so that it's like a little reminder of something that I like throughout the day. So what I've done on my iPad, because this is like the best purchase I've ever made for school, is I did add like a bunch of like philosophy stickers on one side, which I'm not loving how it actually came out. Like I love especially this big one. This one was like an independent one. The ones like around were just from a pack called Dark Academia. On the back, I have like psychology ones. I think I went overboard with this and I'm scared to like take it off. I also put them on one of my water bottles. I'm not gonna go get it right now. It was not this one though. This one is a bit awkward to put stickers on, but I don't know how I feel about it. It's hard to get the aesthetic down, especially with like those white borders, but I want to still deal with it for a while because I feel like it could look like what I want in the future. I hate how much white there is with like the borders. I don't know if I just need to get stickers that don't have that, or if there's like a way to cover it up or do something different. So if you have any ideas, let me know, because I would love to become more of a sticker person, but again, like I hate how much white there is. I feel like it detracts from it. Maybe like one of them would be fine, but having it on all of them, I feel like it makes it like a bit cheesy. This one, I think, looking from afar and like my glasses needing eyes, looking at this tiny picture on my second monitor, I can see that it's like way too uniform. Like it looks almost unnatural with like how perfect it is. Like 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. Okay, it's actually, it looks weird. I don't know. You can tell there's like columns that I made. Maybe I should have only had like one sticker. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm a chill guy. What do you want? All right, I think this is about good for all the lamps. A bulb. Okay, this is good for all the bulbs. And wow, is it a mess in here? Like, trying to ignore that, I think I'm just gonna have to work on a new gradient. So I'm gonna try and get a gradient done for the inside of a cave. I don't know how much of the coral I'm realistically going to be able to use. I might use the coral for like down here at the very least. Oh my god, that scared me. All right, let's get some texturing decided upon. So we're back in the testing world. This is gonna feel sacrilegious. I'll put that in my e-chest. All of my items are gone. I guess I'll do it like in the wall here. I don't want to use glowstone like it recommended because it's just gonna make it like so bright. So we have the tough. I don't think any way I put down the crafter. Oh wow, you can like really explore with like the sides of crafters. I didn't know you could get like so many orientations. Looking from afar, like it is interesting, especially for the gray to sort of tan color, but I'm not looking for that. I would prefer more orange tones. We'll start with that, and then we'll have more of this come out. Acacia logs, that's an interesting one. It's a bit dark, so I would need like another one to transition, but I think if we go from the acacia to like here, this can maybe work. I don't know why I have a crafting table. You know, one thing we could also do now that I'm like turning all of these on is like use the on-off difference to like get a little bit of like variety in there. That might be going a bit too much though. So now if we get like a bit more of the orange, we're also gonna need the glow lichen. And then I want to get more of this like intermixed, just that like random. Then get more of like the brain coral. The issue with this is that I need more slabs because of the dome, so I can't exclusively just have like this. I think I don't like this by itself. I think I want all of those to be covered. And then some more of these should be covered as well. I do like how it looks for itself, but I'm concerned about the practicality of it in the cave, so I'm gonna keep adding to it. So let's look at our slab options. We of course have the tough. I don't think resin brick is gonna be good. We can use the exposed slabs again. I mean, obviously this is like a bit weird. Like it's almost looking like a weird type of like shelf, but I actually really like how this has come along. I think this is also making me realize that I might not have the dome be the permanent fixture because I'm really loving the difference in depth that I'm getting up here. And that's something that you kind of lose if it's all just super smooth with a dome. With that being said, I think I would need to change a considerable amount in order to bypass that. So for now, I'm still just gonna work with a dome. What? What the heck are with all of the biomes in this world? This is like the tiniest savanna I've ever seen. Well, I mean, as long as I get a sapling, I guess it's fine. Tough looks good next to it. I think that's a pretty good gradient. So yeah, let's put the tough here. I also like that this is giving a sort of like connected feel to multiple of the light sources. As I'm doing more, I'm realizing I just don't think I want very much stone to be present. Okay, I like how this wall is turning out. I would love to like continue here, but I think that in order to do this more effectively, now that I have like some experience doing this, that I need to cover up here so that I can just get rid of like all this stuff so I can actually see what it's looking like, so I can start making changes like in the fly and when I'm like 20% done instead of waiting until I'm like 90% done and then like, oh wait, there are a bunch of issues with this I don't like. I think this top layer is about good to go. And I feel like this really demonstrates trust the process. I know that like it doesn't look great with like all the patchiness down here and stuff, where it's just like, you know, completely random. But I think up here looks really good, and imagining this in like the rest of the cave, I think it'll look great. I'm going to start getting rid of this middle scaffolding because I got a glimpse of it earlier and I feel like I'm overusing the glow lichen a little bit. I don't want it to like get in the way of like a bunch of the texturing. Currently for me, it is Wednesday. I think it's the 12th. Yeah, it's the 12th. So I'm planning on uploading this on Saturday. And so I figured I'd explain why. For one, it's just like Valentine's Day weekend, which it's nice to have like a sort of holiday associated with it. And I think it'd be kind of like fitting for how unlovable I am. That's a joke. For me to be spending it like by myself, finishing a project and like doing honestly what I love with both playing Minecraft as well as doing the editing. And I think the bulk of what I'm going to be doing is just editing. I also have an exam on Friday, and so it's for philosophy, and so it's just getting in like a bunch of things that I love all at once. So there's that, but then there's also the fact that I think I have decided that I want to make editing at least one of my future careers. I don't know if it's going to be the only thing I do, and I'm not like quitting school or anything by any means, since I still want to take philosophy as far as I can go with it. But I do think that I just enjoy this like too much, and I would much rather put my time towards trying to like make some sort of revenue for this, not running a YouTube channel like myself, but editing for other people, so that I can do something I'm passionate about instead of just like trying to get like a, you know, minimum wage, low income job. About a year ago, I had decided to pursue philosophy over psychology on February 15th, 2024. And so that was a pretty important day for me because that was when I realized that what I really loved at the time was just being in a classroom with other people who were also passionate about philosophy, just spending their time talking about it. I couldn't think of like a better way I wanted to spend my time. And as I've been doing this, I realized that this is something else that I want to do. And so I felt like it was a bit fitting to try and upload this passion project of mine, something I've been like super proud of and excited and spending like so much of my time committing myself toward on the same day that I had that revelation a year ago about philosophy. It does put a lot of pressure for 2026 when I'm trying to think about what it is that I want to do for that day. Because obviously once it happens more than once, it's a tradition that needs to be upheld. So even though I would love to spend like even more time focusing on how I can improve this project and not rushing it by any means, I also think that having deadlines can help, especially like what I did with the 45-minute sections where restriction breeds creativity. I think that that can help me finish this project, because I won't lie, I have been spending so much time on this project, more than is arguably even necessary. Oh my gosh. I think this guy has been attacking me for a little while. Sorry about that, man. Let me take care of you. Wow. It like is always raining around here, but it looks so good when it's all like vibrant and colorful. This looks amazing. That doesn't look as amazing. All right, we are making some pretty good progress here. You can see, you can see all the different stuff around here that I have been doing. With that being said, however, I need to go. I have all this natural light behind me, and you can actually see during the progress that I've done for this cave. I started at 5 a.m. and it is now 1 p.m. 6 minutes until, if you forgive me for rounding up 6 minutes. With that being said, I need to go get ready for other stuff during the day because I have 2 different presentations I'm giving because my students in my preceptorship, low-key, just between you and me, they're kind of dropping the ball. But yeah, so I need to go do that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get everything done by my release date, but I'm hoping I can, so I'm going to have to forego this light in the background. So you'll probably see me with a much darker background, probably in a different outfit, right now. And just kidding, I still have the light background because it is another day. I'm running out of time. I have 2 days. I have a lot to finish, so I think I have rambled on quite enough. And to be quite frank, I need to just focus. I gotta lock in and get this done. So it will be done right now. All right, I have finally finished doing this section, and I think it's looking pretty cool. I have some thoughts about it, but first I'll just show you around. Again, none of this used to exist. This was all willed into existence. I have a couple of things that I do want to improve upon. The first being the glow lichen. You can sort of see how it varies how intense the glow lichen is. So you can see up here, it's not very much, but then as you go, it gets a little bit brighter, though I do kind of like this still. It feels a lot more atmospheric. But then we go here where we get just like straight white dots. I think if it was all colors like here, where it was a lot of blue colors and stuff, I could live with that. But it has these patches of white. I feel like it kind of distracts it. And there is a lot of visual stimulus all at once. And with this, I want all the attention to go straight to the pedestal. I'm thinking I might do kind of what I did just as a temporary thing in my testing world, where I set up the perimeter here to have sea lanterns or something, just to add that much more light source and like attention, where you have the element of white that begs for your attention rather than something where here, I guess it still begs for it, but I mean, I want to intentionally use that white light compared to here, where there's just so many different stimuli that's taking away the attention from where I want it to be. Additionally, I technically haven't done all of the texturing that I wanted, so over here, I don't know exactly what I want to do for this stone still, and I've left this unturned. I could do either this again and go directly to the cave wall, or I could find some transition to go from these blocks over to here. But if you remember earlier on in the video, I was mentioning how I might do the rock clusters separate, since there wasn't a great gradient from orange and like those earthy tones to the gray with like stone and stuff. I did kind of start getting better at that though, with especially using acacia logs, since it has the orange top and then these corners, and you also get a lot of things like the darker colors that I used before, and the corners of acacia as well as just the acacia side itself. I feel like it blends pretty well with the tuff, but I'll still have to decide what I want to do here, and I don't think I'm going to include that in this video. I think that those are smaller things that I'll just do on my own, because I don't want to do too much all at once without sort of just experiencing it as it is for a little while to see, do I even want to do something for the perimeter here? Because you can see here that the main area I would want to do is the actual stone. I don't like that it's only just slabs still, because for the layout, I am pretty comfortable with how it transitions here, but I think there could be improvement with this being the lowest section here rather than the lowest section possibly being here instead, to make the path more inviting and to make a lot more intentionality with this is the way you walk towards the path, and not some weird maneuver where you walk to the right and then down here and then left and then through here. Because since I don't have any light sources or anything, it's not super apparent that this is like the exact path you're supposed to take. So I'll have to do a little bit of brainstorming to see if I want to do anything with that. But apart from these, which I know I want to get rid of like the white parts in the glow lichen, I think this is pretty much set. So I am going to go finish all of that white trimming, and then I think we're about done. I guess one thing I should also preface as I'm saying this, even though I'm saying it after the fact, is that I did intentionally go way balls to the walls with them. And you can see here, compared to this side that I've already started trimming, I have like so many over here, and in certain places, like I put a bunch. I did that on purpose because I feel like for getting details like this, it's easier to like sort of get a layer of paint down and then take away paint rather than slowly adding the paint. Because compared to like an actual physical format, like with paint, where you can't take away once you've added, like you will always have to deal with it. I feel like for Minecraft, it's a lot easier, and just in general, if you could do it in real life, it is easier to like take away details sometimes. And I definitely think that that applies for something like Glow Lichen, where there's just so much that you can add and like so many different places it could look good. And so having a base for like, you know, over here, it's like, okay, this is like a pretty bright corner, and so I want to like put all the brightness together, but then here it gets a little bit darker, and so it's okay to have this light and this light not like overlapping with each other and trying to like get everything situated with light sources on the exact same tile. And that's not something I would have realized had I not done this beforehand and just like put it on everything and then done that evaluation. I don't know if it's like objective logic or anything. I would guess not, but it was at least something I wanted to try. And so that was like the thought process for why like I added so many of them instead of only slowly adding them. All right, I think as I'm coming up, I still have a little bit more that I would like to work on. So I'll just talk and commentate at the end of the video while I do that. I have never put this much time into a YouTube project like this. And I don't know if you can tell from the pacing of the video and the initial build that I did in the testing server compared to how it ended up turning out. This project just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm honestly kind of surprised at how big it got, and the fact that I didn't ever feel like it was like too much or anything. The only thing was it might be too much for a single video, which is why from using 6, I originally had a massive explanation for how the redstone worked. It was 4 hours long for the initial recording. I edited about half of it and it was already 30 minutes by itself. So I was like, okay, that probably shouldn't add on to whatever the final runtime of this will be. So that's gonna be another Musings. If you're interested in that, then I don't know, good for you. I also wanted to mention why I had this specific song that I did, so I'll let you listen to it again. And that kind of verifies it, but I will say I did look into it and it is a server issue, so the inconsistency with the timing and the music, that's just something that you have to deal with on a Realms. I don't know if actual servers that you get a host that isn't Minecraft or Mojang, I don't know if that's gonna fix it or anything, not that we'd be looking to do that, but regardless, I chose this song because it has a lot of special meaning to me. I don't wanna talk too much about the song itself because we'll get there, that's what the end of this video will be, but I do feel like the collection of clips that I'm about to show you really demonstrate why I chose this song specifically to implement it on this server, because I went through a couple different things. Originally, I was having an Undertale motif with all of these different lights sort of acting like the souls, if you've played Undertale. If not, the rainbows are basically like an Undertale reference, but I decided instead to go with this song because of the sentiment it had. And I do want to shout out Roccat because totally taken from him. He was actually the person I originally found the song from, or specifically the cover of the song Time Adventure. He's been a massive motivation, honestly, not so much on the influencer or content creator side as much as just a good person. I feel like he's someone who, if you don't know, he's a cool dude. He's just a chill guy. What do you want? That's why I chose this song. I think looking around the cave, it looks a lot better now with everything done. And so the last thing I will do is show you what I have finally been intending to put on the armor stand. So without further ado, allow me to show you the final product. And as you can see, this is my old armor. And I think it's time that I put on something new. So this is my new Musings armor, and it's very symbolic and oh so metaphorical. Oh, so embarrassing, I know, right? But essentially, I feel like this is me signaling a shift to myself more than anyone else, that rather than focusing on the original armor, which you can see here was the helmet of Mewbs, I instead want to focus on the things that I create. I feel like a lot of what my YouTube channel has been in the past was about, of course, Bed Wars and just competition and in general, improving myself as a person, developing skills and becoming better at those skills. But now I want to focus on creative projects. I want to produce things in the world for others to enjoy, both in Minecraft with a build, as well as just my videos. With that being said, that is all that I have for you today. So if you have watched it all the way through, just know I genuinely do appreciate you. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Adios, bye-bye. It's been fun, thanks for joining. Thank you, adios, bye-bye. Take care now. See you tomorrow. Definitely not tomorrow, bye-bye.
That's what I say to Mewbs.
You're a moron and a coward.
No, you say that to Mewbs too.
Bro, stop, you're hurting my feelings. I don't know how you're doing this.
Time is an illusion that helps things make sense.
Oh, you were too late, Neo. Sorry, Neo. We were just gaslighting you. Yeah, don't let the door hit you on the way out.
So one issue that Man talks about is how since the patriarchy, or for our purposes, tons of inherently okay, hold on.
Epistemological? Or
epistemologically backed societal issues that causes them to suddenly lose out on rewards they had access to and were profiting from without realizing, due to their ignorance, that the rewards they have weren't entirely fairly earned to begin with.
Wow, you're so insightful, Eli.
Dude, ask me about misogyny, I know so much.
Alright, do you have a water bucket on you? If not,
no I don't. Want me to go get one?
No, I have one right here. You start using that to push him into the Nether, and I'm gonna start getting a an elevator ready.
I wonder if he's he's not here, he's like somewhere else, but he's also right next to his computer and watching this. I don't know. It'd be really funny.
Don't go too much or else you'll probably die.
Okay, sorry, was panicking. Ah!
Neo, go away! Go away, loser! We don't want you here!
I'm gonna stay AFK. Let's see what you guys are doing.
Okay.
Can I look around?
No.
No.
Oh.
3, 2, 1. Got him?
Perfect. Yes,
Let's go.
got him.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Help me mine this, yeah.
I got you. Bye bye, Neo.
There he goes! This you? This you? This is so jank.